Maxi Araujo scored a late equaliser to salvage a 1-1 draw for Uruguay in their World Cup opener against Saudi Arabia, preventing another stunning upset in Group H after Spain's earlier goalless draw with Cape Verde. The Saudis famously beat Argentina 2-1 in their 2022 tournament opener, and they looked on course for another shock, courtesy of Abdullah Al-Amri's 41st minute strike, until winger Araujo stepped up 10 minutes from time at Miami Stadium on Monday. Allegations that Married at First Sight Australia stars were not told about their on-screen partner's previous drug and violence convictions are serious and disturbing, the country's media watchdog has said. The claims, reported in a BBC News investigation on Saturday, have also prompted a response from the UK's media regulator Ofcom, who called them deeply concerning.
Abdullah Ibrahim, who helped define a genre of South African jazz music, has died at the age of 91. His family has said he passed away peacefully, surrounded by his family in Germany, after a short illness, according to a statement released on behalf of the family.
Preliminary deal to end US-Israel war on Iran has sent oil prices tumbling to a 3-month low amid hopes that the Strait of Hormuz will reopen. But it could be months before American consumers see major relief at the petrol pump.
Juba, South Sudan. In the days before Lankian was attacked, doctors at the local hospital rushed to evacuate patients. Some were women in labour. Others were being treated for gunshot wounds. By the evening of February 3, just hours after the last patients were carried out, a bomb struck the empty facility, ripping a crater through its warehouse. Fighting was underway in surrounding areas as South Sudan's military pressed forward with a counter-offensive aimed at retaking territory seized by opposition armed groups. As the army advanced eastward through Jonglei State, it captured town after town, pushing opposition fighters towards the Ethiopian border. FIFA says it has found no evidence that one of the referees at the World Cup breached its code of conduct after he was accused of making a white supremacist hand gesture during one of the games. FIFA's independent disciplinary committee can confirm that after looking into the matter involving support video assistant referee Sean Evans, it has found no evidence of breaches of the FIFA disciplinary code. Football's global governing body told Al Jazeera in an emailed statement on Monday.
Over the weekend, Google CEO Sundar Pichai faced a small revolt when he delivered his commencement speech at Stanford University, where he earned his graduate degree in materials science and engineering. About 200 students from the graduating class reportedly walked out, while others loudly booed the tech executive. The focus of the protest was Google's defense ties, including Project Nimbus, the controversial $1.2 billion contract shared with Amazon to provide cloud and AI services to the Israeli military, as well as its relationship with the US Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency.
US President Donald Trump has said a preliminary deal to end the war with Iran has already been signed and suggested that details of the agreement are set to be published pretty soon. "I am very happy to say it's signed. The deal is all signed," he said during talks with French President Emmanuel Macron at the G7 summit on Monday.
The US government's enforcement letter to Anthropic, which effectively forced the company to pull its latest AI models offline just before the weekend, should be a wake-up call for any US tech company, AI lab or otherwise. We'll catch you up on the News Blitz. On Friday afternoon, the US Commerce Department sent Anthropic a letter invoking an obscure export control directive that banned non-Americans, including Anthropic's employees, from accessing Fable 5 and Mythos 5, citing an unspecified national security concern. Anthropic said it believes the letter is related to a bypass of the model's guardrails, but isn't sure because the letter doesn't provide specific details. The letter has not been made public.
President Donald Trump touted his preliminary deal to end the Iran war and suggested he will seek to end hostilities in Ukraine and Lebanon as he joined global leaders at the Group of Seven summit in France. The United States leader's arrival on Monday in Evian-les-Bains came as partners grow increasingly wary of his erratic geopolitical performance.
Hungarian members of parliament have passed a constitutional amendment limiting prime ministerial terms to 8 years. The reform effectively prevents former longtime leader Viktor Orban from a potential return to power. Parliament overwhelmingly voted in favour of the amendment on Monday, despite opposition from Orban's Fidesz party. 150 were MPs voted for the amendment, while 50 were against and 6 abstained. The European Union has officially launched the accession process for Ukraine and Moldova. The formal launch on Monday will require both countries to commit to years of political reforms. Ukraine must start the complex process while it continues to fight Russia's invasion. But Kyiv views EU membership as a security guarantee and an anchor for its efforts to join the West.
The United Kingdom is the latest country to put in place tough restrictions for young people who use social media. Prime Minister Keir Starmer says his government will ban access to those under the age of 16.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu huddled with his security cabinet in a bunker late Sunday night, ready for the potential of Iranian ballistic missiles, when the phone rang. On the line was President Donald Trump, calling with news of a memorandum of understanding between the United States and Iran.
A United States federal judge has dismissed a lawsuit by Elon Musk's artificial intelligence company XI that accused rival Sam Altman's OpenAI of stealing trade secrets for chatbots. US District Judge Rita Lynn in San Francisco said on Monday that XI failed to show that OpenAI induced former XI senior engineer Xuechen Li to divulge confidential information related to its Grok chatbot, or that OpenAI engineers knew Li might have disclosed any.
A US Air Force B-52 Stratofortress has crashed shortly after taking off from the Edwards Air Force Base in California, the base said. Emergency crews immediately responded to the scene and the situation is ongoing, the base wrote on Monday in a post on X.
A Dutch court has sentenced a Syrian man to 26 years in prison for crimes against humanity committed during his time working for the regime of former Syrian President Bashar al-Assad. The court in The Hague handed down the sentence to Rafik A. on Monday, having found that he tortured and raped prisoners while working as an interrogator.
California Governor Gavin Newsom, a Democrat and top critic of United States President Donald Trump, has said he is being investigated by the U.S. President Department of Justice. In a video post on X on Monday, Newsom said the investigation was politically motivated and that he was being targeted because he is considering a U.S. presidential run. Newsom said the Department of Justice and 2020's wife. Newsom said the Department of Justice was also investigating.
Spain's ghosts of recent World Cup horror shows reappeared in Atlanta as the European champions were held 0-0 by debutantes Cape Verde in their opening game. Lamine Yamal was left on the bench as the Barcelona superstar is eased back to fitness after nearly 2 months out with a hamstring injury, and even his appearance as a second-half substitute failed to break down Cape Verde's dogged defence.
Sabri Lamouchi has been sacked by Tunisia after just one game of World Cup 2026. The 54-year-old former France international was sacked the day after Tunisia's 5-1 trouncing by Sweden in their opening Group F football game in Monterrey, Mexico on Sunday night.
The 2026 World Cup has 13 different kickoff times. You can use the Al Jazeera Sport widget to find out exactly when your team is playing in your local time. Who? France versus Senegal. What? FIFA World Cup 2026. Where? New York, New Jersey Stadium, New Jersey, United States. When? Tuesday, June 16, 3 p.m. local time, 19 GMT. How to follow. Catch all live updates on Al Jazeera Sport.
European Union member states have failed to agree on proposals to sanction Israeli National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir, the bloc's foreign policy chief Kaja Kallas said, speaking at a media conference on Monday. Kallas said that while many EU states had proposed economic restrictions, no consensus on that was reached today.
SpaceX has captured the attention of media, investors and the public for years now. Interest propelled by the company's reusable rocket launches, the rise of its Starlink satellite network, and of course, for its founder and CEO Elon Musk. But in its 24-year history, nothing quite compared to its initial public offering. Everyone seemed interested, perhaps because of the sheer size of the IPO. The company priced its 6 million shares at $135 each to raise $75 billion, making it the largest IPO in history and turning Musk into the world's first trillionaire.
As Meta tries to catch up in the AI race and boost engagement with its AI bot, the company announced Monday that it's rolling out new AI features on Facebook that aim to change how users find information, create content, and interact with the platform. The headline update is AI Mode, a new way to search Facebook that uses Meta AI to surface answers pulled from public posts across the platform, including groups and reels. Instead of scrolling through search results, users can ask a question in plain language and get a synthesized answer based on what people are actually discussing. The United Nations Security Council, UNSC, on Monday unanimously adopted a resolution extending the mandate of the UN Assistance Mission in Afghanistan, UNAMA, until June 7, 2027. While highlighting concerns over Afghanistan's humanitarian crisis, terrorism threats, human rights situation, and regional stability, the resolution, drafted by China and adopted by all 15 UNSC members, reaffirms the UN's central role in supporting peace and stability in Afghanistan and maintaining engagement with the country's de facto authorities and other stakeholders. European champions Spain were held to a shock 0-0 draw by tiny World Cup debutants Cape Verde on Monday. Regarded as one of the strong pre-tournament favourites, Spain had been expected to cruise past Cape Verde in their Group H opener in Atlanta. A woman has died in what appears to be a tragic extreme sports accident in Brazil. 3 men have been arrested over the incident, in which instructors failed to attach a rope to her before helping her jump from a bridge in Sao Paulo state. Who? Iran versus New Zealand. What? FIFA World Cup 2026 Group G match where Los Angeles Stadium, California, US, when Monday, 6 p.m. local time. How to follow. Keep up with all updates on Al Jazeera Sport. Iran will finally take to the field for World Cup opener on Monday after months of uncertainty surrounding their participation in the tournament and following the United States-Israeli attacks on their country that began in late February.
An overcrowded bus has crashed in northern Ethiopia, killing at least 31 people and injuring dozens more. Police have confirmed the bus veered off the road while travelling to the capital Addis Ababa early on Monday and plunged into a ravine 100 metres, 330 feet deep. It had departed from the town of Dessie in the northern Amhara region of Ethiopia, whose roads are among the most dangerous in the world. Tehran, Iran. The world let out a collective sigh of relief when the United States and Iran announced that a memorandum of understanding had been agreed to end nearly 4 months of hostilities on Sunday. But on the streets of Tehran, exhausted by years of sanctions and tensions, the ceasefire announcement has done little to instill confidence that the crisis is over. An agreement between the two sides, to be signed on Friday, looks set to reopen the Strait of Hormuz, largely controlled by Iran since the war began on February 28, something it is hoped will stabilise rattled energy markets. In return, the US will lift a naval blockade on Iran's southern ports, which has squeezed Iran's already embattled economy.